Hello, this is Rick from Progress. I have an exciting video for you today. We're going to build a solution using both UI for Blazor and Telerik Reporting. We'll start by cloning one of Telerik's sample applications available in GitHub. I'm going to show you how to add a native Blazor report viewer to this application. We'll then discuss the Telerik Reporting rendering engine and where you can host that service. I'm going to show you how to build a custom theme using the Telerik theme builder, and I'll show you how to apply that theme to all Telerik components in your application. We'll containerize the project using Docker, and then launch that container from Linux. Okay, to get started, we're going to clone a sample application. This is the Blazor stocks demo. This is hosted live on the Telerik demo site and is also in GitHub. This is a great little simple progressive web application. It was built as a Blazor WebAssembly solution using the hosted model. So it has the 3 projects in it: server, client, and shared. It's been recently updated to .NET 8, but the coding isn't too complicated, so it's a great little simple test bed. So to clone this repo, we'll go back to the main page and get the path. Okay, we can open Visual Studio, clone a repository, paste in the repository location. I'm just going to update where it's saved. And clone. Okay, so we have the entire Blazor UI repository. All I need is the sample application, so I'll open that from the solution file. It's the Blazor Finance Portfolio Solution. Okay, now we have our Blazor WebAssembly. We have our 3 projects: the client, the server, and the shared project. And this will serve as a testing location. Since all of our sample applications are built using our trial packages, I'm going to have to start by updating this to use our commercial libraries. I'll edit the client project. And I'll remove trial from the package reference. I believe this one in the shared project as well. And finally, there's a JavaScript reference in the host.razor component. Here it is. And I'll just remove trial from the path. Okay. We should be able to build and test this. Okay, we'll launch an IIS. Okay, great. Okay, our test application is ready. We can now add Telerik Reporting to it. Let's add a report viewer to our application. Since this is a native Blazor application, we'll add the native Blazor report viewer. This component gets added to the client project in a hosted Blazor WebAssembly solution. The first thing I'll do is add a NuGet package. This package comes from the Telerik private NuGet feed. So if you need to set that up, there are instructions on our website. And we need the telerik.reportviewer.blazor native package. If you're using the trial, there'll be a trial package here, Blazor native.trial. And we'll install this to the client. Okay, that's done. Next, we have a little bit of housekeeping. So to follow along, in the server project in startup, this may be in program.cs, depending on your .NET version. We want to make sure that we're using static files. We already are, so that's good. Next, we need to add some references. These will be added in either the index.html if you're doing a single page application, or underscore layout.cshtml if you're doing a Blazor server application, but for us, it's going to be in host.razor. This has our head section. This is what gets reused in the entire solution. And there's already a few references in here for Telerik UI for Blazor, both scripts and styles. Those we'll leave alone. We'll add a section here for the Telerik reporting references. I'm just going to copy and paste these from our documentation, which I have open off screen. This is the JavaScript for the report viewer. And the style sheet. Okay, we'll save that. Let's see. Next, we'll go to the imports file. And we'll add some usings to give the Telerik Blazor components and the report viewer some universal scope. Now, since we already have the first two, we just need to add the report viewer. Okay. Next thing to check is that the Telerik root component is being used. I believe that is in let's see, main layout. Yes. Okay, this is already being used since this was a Blazor demo application. If not, you would add this Telerik root component surrounding the body tag. Okay. And yeah, the only thing left to do is add the actual report viewer to one of our pages. So let's just add it to the index page. We'll put it down the bottom. If you remember, there was a couple of charts. Okay, yes, two charts here and here. And we'll just add it below it. Now this is a Bootstrap enabled project, so we have some classes. We'll just copy and paste this existing code down to here. Take out that second chart. Okay, now we have a container, and into that we will add the report viewer component. I'm copying and pasting this from off screen, but we'll review the code. There's also some code to add to the code block, which we'll do here. Okay. So this is a couple elements. Service type, it's a RESTful service. It's telling it that it's going to connect to a REST service. Service URL, this is the reporting rendering engine endpoint. We have some bound values for the report source, scale mode, view mode, parameter area, document map area, and the scale. And Those are what are getting set and initialized here in the code section. The most important one is the report source options, called report source, which gets the name of the report to load and a parameter collection if applicable. Okay, so we can save this and we'll give this a test run. Okay, we still have our original chart and a grid. And now we have our native Blazor report viewer, which is loading one of our demo reports. And we can pick any of our demos. Let's open the dashboard. And we have a quarterly sales report here. Okay, that part is done. Let's go back to Visual Studio and talk about the Telerik Reporting rendering engine. So in Telerik Reporting, the rendering engine and the report viewer are completely decoupled. That is to say that the report viewer that we have here only makes references to a web service available at this location, the service URL. That web service is an implementation of the Telerik REST web service, or the rendering engine. It is what's responsible for actually rendering the report to HTML or PDF or one of other rendering formats. You have a few options here. The first option is you can create that service directly inside of this application. You could host it here in the server as a service endpoint, and you would be able to point the report viewer to that service hosted internally. The second option, what we're doing here, is an external service. So this is actually pointing to the public live demo service, which runs on the Telerik website and has access to our complete demo report catalog. So that's what we have here, report catalog.trdx. TRDX being our reporting format, Telerik report definition. The third option would be to point this to an implementation of report server. That's a bit out of scope for this video, but there are several other videos available on report server if you're interested. For simplicity, I'm going to leave this pointing to our remote endpoint. It gives me a nice collection of demo reports that I can use. This is a very reliable service, and it's relatively simple to set up the service endpoint inside of this application. So I'll leave some documentation on how to do that if you would like, but any of those three scenarios are just as valid. The next thing I want to talk about is theming. This entire application is built using the Kendo Bootstrap theme. And the application itself uses Bootstrap. The Kendo Bootstrap theme is designed to look very similar to actual Bootstrap and allow the Telerik components to integrate well into a Bootstrap application. Now there are four main theme families: Default, Bootstrap, Material, and Fluent. Within each of those main families, there are a number of swatches available, which give you a good number of default themes to work with. This application uses the Bootstrap main theme, which we've already seen, but I'm going to update this to use a couple different themes so we can see how well those integrate. That's done by simply updating the Kendo theme CSS from the hosts file. And we'll update this to one of our hosted Bootstrap swatches, the Nordic theme. Okay, and let's test this. Okay, we can see the Nordic theme was applied and all of the buttons and elements have been updated to use the new theme, including the report viewer. And this is actually really important. All of the Telerik components, whether it be the native Blazor report viewer or the other Blazor native components, are using the same SaaS theme package. So whenever you update that one theme, all of the components will update, whether that be from the Telerik reporting package, the UI for Blazor package, or maybe one of our other packages. One theme, all the components. Let's try a different theme. For some contrast, I'll try the main dark theme. I'm just updating the version slightly. I suspect that the very latest version would work as well, but I'm being overly cautious. We can see the dark theme applies, and all of the components and backgrounds of those components have also been updated to the dark theme. Now you notice the main application background hasn't been updated, and the header sections haven't been updated. In the report itself, the content of the report hasn't been updated. And this is also very important. Understand that the Telerik themes are designed intentionally to only style the Telerik components. They won't overreach and style anything else in the application. They won't style your other components from different packages, and they won't style the basic HTML or simple Blazor components that you might have installed. They're very narrowly scoped to only style the Telerik components, and that's done intentionally. Now, what if you want to create a custom theme as part of a larger, integrated, comprehensive design system? That's where you turn to the Telerik Theme Builder. This solution allows you to create custom SaaS-based themes that work across a variety of our projects. You can create a new project, select your base theme, give your project a name, and create a theme. Now I've created a theme in advance. This is a live preview of my theme. This is applied to all of the components in our collection, so you can see how your theme will style all of our components. In our case, we're looking more towards the buttons and the menus. Under Advanced Edit, you can select any component, for example, this primary button, and drill into every aspect of that component and style the theme. Now, once completed to your satisfaction, this theme can be exported. Simply select Export All, and a theme package will be generated. This package contains everything you need to host that theme in your project, which you'll do now. Okay, I've downloaded and unzipped our theme package. And to add my custom theme to this solution, I will navigate into the theme, the distribution, and we'll find the precompiled CSS file and copy that into our CSS folder under www root of the client project. This is where all your static client-side resources should be located. The next step is to get rid of the existing theme that's being hosted on the Telerik CDN. I'll just comment it out. And now we can add a reference to our new theme. Let's see. So the root of the reference is www root. So the path is going to be CSS / purple rain. There we go. Okay, that looks correct. Let's test it. Okay, excellent. You can see that the theme was installed and is being applied to disparate components, charts, grids, buttons across 2 different libraries, all using one theme. So in this way, you can create a very cohesive and very scalable and maintainable design system. So up to this point, we've been testing our application using IIS, actually IIS Express embedded into Visual Studio. What I want to do next is containerize the application using Docker and launch it in Linux. So a bit of bookkeeping. I've pre-installed Docker Desktop for Windows, and I've configured this to run my containers in WSL2. That's the Windows subsystem for Linux. It's effectively a lightweight Ubuntu container running in a VM inside of Docker. So all my containers will run in that WSL Ubuntu image. So we can minimize this, close our demo. Okay. Now something else to be aware of is that in a ASP hosted application like this, where you have the client, server, and shared model, the deployed project is going to be the server project. So we'll right click on server, go to add, and Docker support. We want to select target OS Linux and Docker file. These are the defaults. Selecting OK will build a Docker file. It should set up a container publish source. And I believe, yeah, it goes ahead and automatically runs, builds that container. Okay. That all looks good. The last thing I want to do is launch the Docker container, which will run in WSL2 and will be hosted from that Linux container. And we'll see that the application runs equally well from Linux and Windows. So click launch. Okay, and we'll just navigate to the starting application path. I see our custom theme is still loading. All of our components look good. Interactivity looks good. The report is still rendering from our remote report source. we can open one of our dashboard reports. That all looks good. And for good measure, let's export this report to PDF. Perfect. And that's it. Thank you for joining me on this adventure through Blazor and Telerik Reporting. Be sure to check out some of my other blogs available on the Telerik blog site and any of my other instructional videos. Send me a message on Twitter or X and let me know what you want to see next. Thank you.